Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Google Plus Business Spotlight, a show where we talk about how real businesses are using Google Plus. I have a fantastic guest for us, for you guys this week. Actually, a story that was, in a way, born out of the relationships on Google Plus. Very excited to have Mark Traphagen and Eric Enge from Stone Temple Consulting with us today. We'll bring them on in just a second. Real quick housekeeping thing before we get started. I want to encourage you guys to subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out our website, GPLUSSPOTLIGHT.com, for archives and recaps of all the information, all the shows that we've had. You guys, I think, are number 35 now, which is really cool. We're rocking it out and approaching a year, which is really exciting for all of us. And I guess without further ado, I will welcome our co-host Ben Fisher from Steady Demand, and Ben will kick us off. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to the G Plus Spotlight. And thanks, Mark and Eric, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We know you guys are extremely busy. And, of course, STEPHAN, thank you. We were talking in the green room. One of the things that I think that's amazing about Stone Temple Consulting is that Mark and Eric work with enterprise-level customers. They've got very busy lives. They've got a little shy of 50 employees. And before we jump into all of the things that they're doing on Google+, from relationships to communities to the ST roundups to all the writing to all the replying dimensions, one of the things we want to first get into is something that I think that is going to hit home with everybody. And that is how, as a business, when you're so active on so many different social media platforms, that you really go ahead and you take a little bit of balance between your business and your life, especially as you're becoming successful and when you become successful. Eric, I'm going to throw that one over to you first.
I'm a little confused what the concept is now. A balance. No, wait, I think I get it. You mean like I'm supposed to have a life outside of work? Is that what you're trying to suggest here?
Yeah, only a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. Well, I'm not great at it, to be honest with you, because I love what I do so much, and I'm very passionate about it. But there actually are some things which are good cures for that. One is to make sure that you have other things that you're passionate about, not just your work, right? So, I have 2 nights a week where I just go play basketball, right? Which isn't bad for an old guy like me to still be running around. And I have other rules. Mark knows some of them. I go out and get my lunch every day. I don't necessarily eat there, but it's just the fact of get up, go somewhere, make yourself stop. Always have a nice dinner with my wife. You have to do things, when you have a workaholic tendency like mine, you have to have guidelines that you just don't go over. But the key thing is you got to have other things you love to do, right? That's, I think, the big key thing. So you miss it if you're not doing it. If I don't play basketball tonight, I'll be ornery in the morning, and nobody likes me ornery, so they make me go play.
Yeah, and Mark, and you were actually talking. I mean, the reason this question even came up is because it seems like Mark is on at least 24 hours a day. Okay, maybe 18 hours a day, replying to messages and in threads and talking to people and really being a thought leader and building up the personal brand and the business's brand. So Mark, how are you dealing with all of that?
Well, it's something that I'm thinking a lot about. As I said to you earlier before we went live on the air, it's definitely a work in progress. I'm learning a lot from people like Eric, being associated with him and seeing what he does, and recently been reading a lot about the habits of other successful people, or people who are CEOs of major companies, some of the things that they do. And a common theme that I keep hearing is this idea that you need routines, and I think first key is like what Eric said. You need to have other things that you're interested in and passionate about, and be able to identify those. And then don't be afraid to make those part of your routine, which means scheduling them to some extent. Eric knows every day at lunchtime he's going to go out of the office. Every Wednesday and Sunday night he's going to play basketball. So I'm starting to think in terms of that and saying, like, I need to, like now I'm trying to walk at least 30 minutes a day, and I need to not say, I should walk 30 minutes a day. but put that in my schedule for the day just as if it were a client appointment. I would not miss that call for the client, so I need to schedule in that time to go for a walk or the time to go to a practice with my band, which I haven't done in 8 months. So things like that, and I'm going to be doing more of that because I have the same disease that Eric has. I think the same disease that you two guys have, and that's what we do for work is also a real passion. We love it, and it can become very consuming unless you're intentional about taking breaks from it.
Yeah, I want to just toss up there too that by putting it in your calendar, because I've been just starting to do this a little bit more myself, it makes you accountable, because if there's other people that see your calendar, they can make you accountable as well. So if you have an assistant, or even if you have a shared family calendar or whatever, you have other people that can say, hey, we're not going out to lunch because you're supposed to exercise. And so that is a nice little nugget or tip. And then we all have in the event comments, I asked our audience if they have any tips for work-life balance, that kind of thing that they can share with us. Hopefully we'll get a couple of really cool ones that we can bring up into the show here. So actually, if we can, Mark, I want to stay on you, and do you have any techniques or tips or just insights on how you're able to really stay on top of all of these notifications? Because let's face it, whenever you're away, there's a Google Plus update and something that affects you, and you have to now, so we all have to keep track of Mark's schedule so we know when the updates are coming. And but you know what, you're amazing at staying on top of things, keeping everybody informed, because you've built such a respectable, authoritative profile. People look to you for that insight, and you deliver. So first off, kudos to you for that, and we all appreciate it. But how the heck do you do it, man?
Well, again, it's an interesting question. The question that I feel like I'm at a crucial juncture now that I'm thinking a lot. It's why I'm reading some of the things I was commenting earlier. What are other busy people doing? How do they manage things? And I'm coming to a place of understanding that while I built where I am today by doing that, and that meant before I came to Stone Temple, that meant even a lot more time outside of work. On my own, on weekends and things like that. Just being present, answering people's questions, entering into conversations, engaging, and getting myself known. And that was an investment I made. It was a conscious investment at the time, and it's more or less paid off. But now the trick is I'm in a place where I do have increasingly other responsibilities, things that I have to manage, not only in my life but for Stone Temple, and projects that we want to do that take investment of time. Some of my expertise now is becoming valuable to our clients, and they're wanting some of that time. So I can't do all of that, and I have to get better at, and I'm starting to learn and think about, I can't answer everything. I can't respond to every notification. So part of that is just on Google Plus. Obviously, quickly is, I know you talk a lot about this, STEPHAN, is circle management. And I'm constantly now tinkering with my notify circle. I have a circle that, the people that I want to know when they posted something, I put them in that, and I get a notification of that. And once a week, once every 2 weeks, I take a look at that. Some people go in, some people go out. I want to keep the value of that high, because I have to have something now. There's certain days when I declare bankruptcy. When I go like, okay, I'm going to go through, I'm going to, hit the notifications, I'm going to hit things that, scan and see conversations that look like I should be a part of, but I'm going to learn to say no to some things. I skip at a certain point, I just hit that mark all as read button, which is hard for me to do, but at some point you've got to do it. So I'm still learning that. I'm learning that I want to be available to people. I want people to feel like they can ask me things, and I'll respond, but I do have to manage that now.
I love that you just said you have to declare bankruptcy every once in a while. That is fantastic, and it's really a difficult thing to do, especially with your notification circle. And it's really tough to ignore people that are plus mentioning you. Like you said, you put the work into it back in the day, and you were there and present all the time. But as you're getting busier, and as the things are basically getting more insane, because of your success, sometimes you do have to kind of just take a break. And I think that everybody feels that. As a matter of fact, we even have a couple people in the comments. Here's one from Ursula. She says it's a relief to hear that we all seem to be struggling with the work-life balance. And so let's talk a little bit about the insanity that Stone Temple does go through. You know, we talked a little bit about why it was so important, you know, that Eric that you brought on, Mark, and about having a face to the brand. But it seems to have ramped up the insanity in a way as well.
Yeah, well, I'm working on exactly how you're using the term insanity, but I mean, Stone Temple was built on content marketing from the very beginning, and I began writing, I'm not sure, 2007 maybe, and I'm very fond of explaining to people that in the first 2 years, my best 6 blog posts were the first 6, and no one ever read them because I had no audience, right? And I started speaking and started doing that, and that worked great. We built the company to I don't know, somewhere in the 35 plus people range based on me being the face of the business. But something I felt very passionate about, and I know that Mark does as well, is that it's really important for businesses to not limit themselves to having that one identity or one public face. Or, I mean, you could, but there's advantages to having multiple people engaged. And Mark and I had connected quite a bit over summer of 2013 and built a good relationship. And it came to a point where we realized we wanted someone to be the, you know, an additional public face for the company, and a very powerful, prominent one at that. You know, their own brand. And I very quickly got to, well, shoot, I saw a rumor there, or kind of knew that Mark was roasting about with some opportunity. Surely he must have taken it by now, but let me take a long shot and reach out to him and see what if he might be available. It was kind of funny because I called him up and said, "So, how was your job search going?" And then he said to me, "Well, you know, it's funny you should ask. I just decided to take that job today," and there was a little deflation that went through me. "Well, you know, I was going to call you about this opportunity we have. Let me talk to you about it because you might know someone who wants it." And I'm going to cue you up to fill in the response here in just a second, Mark. Which is, so I said to him, you know, I started describing the job, and then Mark said,
I'm saying to myself, kind of, I want to do that. Well, I want to do that. Well, I really want to do that. So within a few minutes, I was going to sort of like, well, what about me?
Right, and it was like, and then because of time constraints, because of the other conversation that took place, it got down to, we've got 48 hours to get this nailed down, and we moved very quickly. Look, it's been fantastic. I mean, Mark's a dear friend at this point, but also a great brand, as you guys know, and everybody watching the show knows. And it works really well for both of us. And I think we get to bring different strengths to it. But what's happened, I think, is accelerated things for both of us. I get much more demand now for my time, and so does Mark. That's great. We're loving it, and it's really helping get the Stone Temple brand out there in a way that's working quite well.
I think if I can just add something quickly in, that the takeaway from what Eric has done, because not everybody can hire me, and I don't even try because I'm not going anywhere. But the takeaway is that if you believe in this, a lot of people talk about inbound marketing. It's the big buzzword now. It's the idea that you put out great content, you put out authority, you build reputation, that people will come to you. You don't have to go call them; they're going to come to you for business. Eric's proven that it works, and because he's proven it, he knows, he's invested in it, and not just me. But we're building a team now around us. We've got other people we've hired who are engaged either part-time or full-time in helping us to expand what we're doing. And that's an investment. It's an intentional investment. and it takes faith, believing that this works, and that we can make it work even more.
Yeah, I mean, so just to to recap that, because it's a huge, really, really important point that you're making. So you have, there's a couple of things that came out of this little segment here. First is it's helpful to acknowledge that you need more than one person to be the face of your company, because that it prevents you guys from, it prevents one person from, just, it's a good idea to spread things around, right? So there's a lot of reasons we can get into, but you guys can figure that out. You're all smart people. So, have more than one person, be empowered, and I love that word that you used earlier, Eric, to empower them to get out there, to be, to represent your company, to be, the face of it, and that will, as you guys have described, that'll bring in more opportunities than if you just have one person doing it yourself, because, I guess it can create a bit of a bottleneck. And the other part, which Mark brought up, is to realize that this is an investment, and this kind of goes back to the first part that we were talking about with the the work-life balance, right? There's an investment in building yourself up, and then you have to, then if you look at it as this is something that's long-term, and this is something that I'm building in a way that will allow other people to help me, then when those times come, then you can start to delegate, you can start to let other people in, and I don't feel, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think you look at all four of us, none of us have, we all have, I know we have help in some way, shape, or form with the various things that we're doing, and I don't think any of us have lost, a nick of authenticity or personality or anything like that. So, it works, but you just have to have that foresight to be able to, to go in that direction and to be doing things that help you do that later on down the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It is an investment. I mean, Mark alluded to it, but we actually have 3 other people here who do things related to the marketing of Stone Temple. Caitlin O'Connell and Justin Markison, who were featured in our recent Knowledge Box video that got over 130,000 views, and a guy called Evan McCullough who does development for us. So, we are all in, baby.
Yeah, that actually answers a question we had earlier, right before we started, about how many people you guys have working with you on this. So Annie, you had asked that earlier, and I'm glad we were able to answer it. So that's cool. So there's.
But I want to add something to that. I mean, those are the people that are dedicated full time to this, and then part of that's in the we said Evan McCullough was a developer. Some people might have caught that and said, well, what does he have to do with marketing? Well, he's doing incredible things to build the databases that are leading to the studies that we're turning out, which are, becoming our best content. And what we're becoming known for is actually having incredible data that we can say authoritative things out of. So it's important. But what I want to say is that, in a way, almost everybody here is getting involved in the marketing more and more. We started a video series recently that we're going to put out at least once a month called Hardcore SEO, and it's our mainline, frontline senior marketing consultants, the people who actually work with our clients day to day, coming in doing a 3 to 4 minute video. This is something I've learned. This is a tip. This is what to do when your site suddenly loses all its traffic. What do you do first? What do you do if you got hit with a penalty? What do you do first? These are people that work with this every day, and we're getting them out there, getting them involved, getting them to be part of it. Even when they're not on a video or doing a blog post, their feedback, what we learn from them, feeds into the content we put out into the world. So, you don't have to have just a marketing department. You can get your whole team involved. Everybody can contribute.
That's really good free advice, everybody. Take it. Use your salespeople, use your support people, use the knowledge that is inside of your company to create a ton of content, because you've seen it, you've heard it, you wrote the book, you bought the t-shirt, right? I mean, you had a nickel every single time something happens. You can use all that information to create a ton of content, and I think that dovetails beautifully into your Stone Temple Cats roundups. So let's talk a little bit about that, especially because it is kind of structured to Google+. Tell us a little, the story behind it, a little bit more about it, and how you guys come up with so many really funny things every week, because it cracks me up.
The STC Cats roundup we do on Saturdays, originally that started as more of just a general Google Plus content roundup. I started doing just a general It didn't have any theme to it other than that, stuff that I saw that was interesting during the week. But then a couple things happened. One was I noticed that there were a lot of other people that were doing that, and some of them doing it very well. I think, what's Mick's last name? Mick Sharp? Yeah, and Mick Sharp has weekly roundup. The Foster Business Community has a great roundup. Anna Hoffman almost daily does great roundups. There's a number of people that that are aggregating Google Plus content and sharing it. And then this maybe is another little marketing lesson, but it sounds arrogant, but it's true. If you get to a certain point and you realize that your content has real fans, there are people that really like it, then I thought, why don't we do something different and just say, if you missed it, so we put out, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 pieces of content a week in various forms between the two of us and other things we do. Once a week, we should put something out there that's saying, here it all is in one form. Anything you missed, you can go back and see. And then the other part of that is just taking a little bit advantage of the idea of what we call it, newsjacking, hashjacking, where you find a way to creatively bring your brand and bring your message into something that's already trending, already happening on the internet. And Saturday is such a big part of the Google Plus culture now. I don't know, how the idea originally came to me exactly, but to say, how could we tie into that? Well, this idea of having these cats that roam around the internet and find our best stuff and bring it together and ball it up in a big ball of yarn and put it out every week, and tying that in with a meme, a weekly meme, image based on a cat that's thematic. So you get it on the Saturday hashtag, you make it humorous and entertaining if people want to look at it, and it's another chance for people to see your content.
And it's consistent, because the consistency part of it, everybody knows that it is Saturday when your ST Cats roundup hoax comes out. It's like the consistency is a very important thing to build that fan base up too. Do you guys pull in things from all over, like not just Google Plus and blogs, but like also, like Mark, you do a lot of publishing on LinkedIn, any other slideshares or social networks? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's content. It's not just Google Plus content, but anywhere they're posting. It could be LinkedIn, could be YouTube. Sometimes shows, like a show like we're on this show today. So this will probably be in the next, linked in the next ST Cats update on Saturday. And people can get that by following the Stone Temple Consulting page.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about it. It's not just all about Google Plus. It's about all of the content that you've produced, and it's about. You guys give away an immense amount of knowledge. I remember when Elo first came out, you went ahead and you did this huge guide on Elo, which Eric, you and I were talking about just last night, and that actually, I think will probably lead us into something that we can really get in depth in, and that is. Let's talk a little bit about the experiments that you guys have been doing, because you've really been rocking it with the experiments. Eric, you want to lead us off on that one?
Sure, no, happy to, and thank you for the kind words about that. But yeah, we're very passionate about doing these kinds of things. It's by original background, I'm a geek. I was a programmer. Right, early days in my career. I guess I'm a marketing guy now, but my passion for understanding how things work or what makes them tick, or where they are, measuring them, has never changed. And so I've been doing studies for a long, long period of time. And now that the marketing side of the Stone Temple team is bigger, we can do some more creative things. The one we recently published that actually went viral, which was not what we expected, but we're thrilled, obviously, to see it on The Verge and Huffington Post and Lifehacker and on the front page of Hacker News. In fact, the top 10 Hacker News, all these various places. Was about answer boxes in the search results, and what we literally did is we had our marketing staff take over 3,000 queries and try them with the Google app on a smartphone. They actually use iPhones for that. Then we used Siri on the iPhone, obviously, and then we bought Windows phones and we did Cortana queries, and we just ran them across all three of them and measured the results and just to see what was best. And give everybody the short playback on that. It was something like 83% of the time Google would respond to a question with some sort of answer box, and Siri was in the 50% range, and Bing's Cortana was in the 29% range, something like that. And then we also measured how accurate they were in terms of directly answering the question. And again, Google cleaned up. But the reason why we do these things from a business perspective, just to share that with people, because I think that might be of interest, is we're in the business of being experts at what we do. That's what we're supposed to bring to our clients, is a high level of expertise, help them solve tough, gnarly problems. And it's very useful to demonstrate that somehow and do things and make the investment to develop knowledge that that other people don't have. We're hoping that we will be able to publish studies like this on a monthly basis. We're not quite there yet. We have one coming up which is going to blow people away. We've examined over 5 million tweets, and we're studying that to see what drives retweets, what drives replies, and what drives favorites of tweets across more than 10 different metrics. And that's something that we're very excited about. That's probably 3 weeks away. It pains me to say it's 3 weeks away because I want to publish it next week. But it's not quite ready yet. So, and then we have others behind that. So constantly churning out ideas, and we're going to keep doing it.
That's fantastic. I just want to, for you guys who aren't totally sure what an answer box is, it's when you type in a question, and instead of getting a list of search results, you get a box with the answer in it. So, and I did this one for Eric. I said, I typed into my phone, did the Patriots win last week? And hopefully you guys can see that there's a nice little card that gives me the box score of the Patriots decimating the Denver Broncos, and
we're number one.
Information about that. Uh-oh, am I wrong?
No, we're number one. I was just saying that. I was being a Patriots fan for a second.
Oh, yeah, no, straight up, man. And you had a really funny quote from Drew Bledsoe today that you posted on G+, which made me laugh. So, yeah, so that's what that is, guys. And by the way, just on a quick little aside on the sports-related ones, you could ask them from the perspective of two different fans and get the same answer, but shown a different way. So if I asked, did the Broncos win, I'm actually going to find out that they lost, as opposed to the Patriots winning, which is really interesting. I remember doing this last year during the World Series. So you get and it works really great for baseball because they switch the series scores or the series results based on whether you're asking as a fan of one team or potentially asking as a fan of the other team. So really interesting stuff. That's at least how Google's works. I'm not sure if Siri or Cortana do it the same way. I guess I should go read your study.
There you go. So just for people who are interested, it was a quote from Drew Bledsoe. I have to read it to you. Going to play quarterback for the Jets. It's kind of like, when they used to take the pretty young virgin up to the edge of the volcano and just throw him in. So that was Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, that was a great quote. Really true. What's that, Mark?
I just the application here for folks, before we descend into the sports talk radio here, is as we've been saying earlier, is what all that you heard didn't just happen. We didn't just one morning wake up and say I wonder what. So let's ask a few questions and put out a piece of content. It was months of investment. Right now, we are investing resources in content that Eric said, some of it won't publish for 3 weeks. We're investing in stuff that won't be published till next year. We're building that now. So that's another tip for people. If you want to build your reputation, you want to build your authority online, especially Google+, you invest in that. You start accumulating resources. You start reading. You start learning. You're building toward your best content pieces that are yet in the future. Take investment today.
I think that's another great takeaway. You guys got a lot of free advice today from a company that works with enterprise-grade clients. So I hope there was a lot of good information that you guys can take with you for your own businesses. But yeah, to sum up Mark's comment, having a strategy, having a plan, when you know what you're going to be doing 2, 3, 4 months out, think about the seasonality of your business, stuff like that. Then you can work backwards, and you guys can create calendars for yourselves, whether it be on Google Plus or whether it be combining G Plus with email or whatever it ends up being. That you guys can create a ton of ideas and a ton of different pieces of content that work together really well, set some great expectations and some great brand awareness for yourself. And then when it comes time to publish that big study or have that big sale or whatever, you already have people that are primed and they're ready to just jump on it, because naturally they've been seeing you build this up all little by little, and you're doing it without promotion or hype or anything like that. So a lot of really great takeaways about scaling, about delegating. My gosh, this has been really a fantastic discussion. We're at the bottom of the hour, so I want to be respectful to our audience and to you guys. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. Mark and Eric, we really appreciate that. On behalf of Ben and myself, again, happy to continue the conversation for anybody who wants to join in the comments. Appreciate it. And as a last little call to action, circle Stone Temple Consulting before Saturday so that you can get that Stone Temple that STC Cats roundup post and read all of their amazing content. And in the meantime, go check us out on YouTube and GPLUSSPOTLIGHT.com and circle up the G Plus Spotlight page. So I guess that's it for us, and we will see you guys in a couple of weeks when we have our next guest, which will be announced very soon.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Thanks, Mark and Eric.
Take care.